always talking about personal growth and like all those different ways to kind of connect with yourself and the world around you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, today we're going to be diving into a book that really tackles that head on. It's called How to Be Interesting by Jessica Hagy.
Oh, cool.
And like, before we even jump in, I just want to say this isn't about becoming the most popular person in the room or like trying to impress everyone.
Right.
It's more about those little things you can do to kind of make your own life richer and more engaging.
I like that.
And kind of the cool side effect is that when you're genuinely interested in things and you're kind of living a full life, other people naturally find that interesting.
Totally. It's like that authentic kind of magnetism comes through.
Exactly.
So you mentioned the book, How to Be Interesting by Jessica Hagy.
Yeah.
Is this something that she just came up with, or is there kind of a method to it?
So she actually started out as a blogger, and I think she had a really popular Forbes column too.
Oh.
And what's really unique about her work is it's almost like visual,
Okay.
She uses these index cards with like drawings and little snippets of text.
Oh, that's cool.
And she kind of boils down these complex ideas into these really simple but powerful statements.
I like that. Visual and simple.
And the whole point is that being interesting, it's not about putting on some kind of act.
Right.
It's about how you approach life and how you engage with everything around you.
Like a way of being rather than, like a set of tricks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, what we're going to do is take her 10 principles and try to pull out some actionable things that you listening can start doing right away.
Awesome. I'm excited.
So the very first one, and this is kind of the foundation of everything, is
Okay, go exploring.
so her whole point here is that if you just stick to the same routines and you're not really venturing out and trying new things, you're going to limit what you discover and how you grow as a person.
Right. You're stuck in that same loop.
Yeah, it's like imagine you're walking down the same street every single day. You're only going to see the same houses. You're not going to see what's around the corner.
You're not going to see the new coffee shop that just opened or that new park that you could discover.
Exactly. And what's really cool is like when you go exploring, you're basically gathering all this raw material
Oh, okay.
for new thoughts, for new conversations, for just like a richer internal world.
I like that. It's giving your mind something to chew on.
Exactly. And when she talks about exploring, it doesn't have to be like this huge around the world trip.
You're right.
It could be little things like picking up a book in a genre you've never read before, trying a different route on your commute, experimenting with a new recipe, or even just like, going down a rabbit hole online about some topic you even nothing about.
I feel like I do that a lot, but maybe not always intentionally.
But that's the thing, is like being intentional about it. So like think about your week ahead. What's one tiny thing you could explore that's just a little outside your comfort zone?
Yeah, like something you wouldn't normally do.
Exactly.
Okay. I think for me, it might be trying that new Vietnamese restaurant that just opened up down the street.
Oh, nice.
I always walk past it, but I've never actually gone in.
Perfect. So you're already exploring.
Already exploring. I love it.
All right. So the second step builds on that so beautifully. And it's,
Okay. Share what you discover.
now here, Hagy makes it really clear that like if you just have all these amazing experiences and insights and you keep them bottled up inside,
Yeah,
it doesn't really make you that interesting to other people.
that makes sense. You got to let it out, let people see it.
Yeah, it's not about bragging or trying to sound like you're better than everyone else.
Right.
It's about like taking those experiences and figuring out what they mean to you, and then sharing those insights in a way that connects with other people.
So it's like finding the universal themes in your personal experiences.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say you went on this incredible trip backpacking through Europe.
Okay.
It's not just about like listing off all the places you went and all the things you saw.
Right.
It's about what did you learn about yourself?
Yeah.
What did you learn about the world?
Maybe you learned about resilience or adaptability or different cultures.
Exactly. And then you can share those insights in a way that someone who's never even left their hometown can connect with.
Right, because those are like universal human experiences.
Exactly. And it's not just about talking either. You can write about it, you can express it through music, whatever.
It's about being generous with what you've learned and how it's changed you.
I love that. And what's really cool is that when you share thoughtfully, it often encourages other people to share back.
Oh, that's true.
So it becomes this really cool back and forth exchange where everyone's learning and growing.
A ripple effect.
Exactly. So think about something you've learned recently.
Okay.
How could you share that with someone this week in a way that adds to the conversation?
Okay, so I recently started learning how to play the ukulele.
Awesome.
And I could just tell people, oh, I'm learning the ukulele, but maybe I could share a song I'm working on or talk about the challenges I'm facing and what I'm learning about myself through the process.
That vulnerability makes it way more interesting.
Totally.
Okay, so let's move on to step 3, and this one's a biggie. Do something, anything.
Do anything. I like that.
This is for anyone who's ever felt stuck, like they have all these great ideas, but they just can't seem to get started.
Oh, yeah, I feel that.
And Hagy's point here is so simple, but so powerful. Stop overthinking it.
Okay.
Stop planning every little detail and just take action.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, totally. But she argues that imperfect action is way more valuable than no action at all.
Right, because at least you're moving forward.
It's like that whole thing about trying to push a heavy object. The initial push is the hardest part. But once you get it moving, it's easier to keep it going.
It gains momentum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, when you're actually out there doing things, even if they're small,
Yeah.
you're giving yourself those real world experiences that you can then share with other people.
Right. Building up your story, your repertoire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So think about a personal goal you have, maybe something you've been putting off.
Okay.
What's one tiny action you could take today, literally today, to get closer to that goal?
Well, I've been wanting to write more creatively, but I always get intimidated by the blank page. Maybe I could just commit to writing for 5 minutes today, even if it's just nonsense.
I love it. See, that's perfect.
Just get the words flowing.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe those 5 minutes turn into 10 minutes, turn into an hour.
Yeah. You never know where it might lead.
All right. So step 4 is embrace your weirdness.
Embrace your weirdness.
I like where this is going.
Hagy basically says that trying to fit in and be like everyone else is kind of a recipe for being forgettable.
That makes sense.
It's our quirks and those things that make us different that actually make us memorable and help us connect with others.
Because it's like those unique qualities are what make you.
Exactly. And she's not saying go out and be intentionally weird.
Right.
It's more about recognizing those things about yourself that you might have tried to hide or downplay.
Like those passions or interests that you might think are a little strange.
And instead of trying to fit in, lean into those things.
Celebrate them.
Exactly, because what might seem weird to some people might be exactly what draws other people to you.
It's like finding your tribe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's one thing about you that you might have been a little hesitant to share, but that you could maybe explore a bit more this week?
Well, I've always been really fascinated by taxidermy.
Oh, wow. And I've never really talked about it because I thought people would think it's creepy.
But you know what? There are probably tons of other people out there who are also fascinated by taxidermy.
That's true.
And maybe you could find a community online or a local class or something.
Maybe I'll check out some YouTube tutorials or something.
See, you're already embracing your weirdness.
I am.
Okay, step 5 is have a point of view.
Have a point of view.
Okay. Now, this isn't about being argumentative or trying to pick fights with people.
Right.
It's about engaging with the world around you in a thoughtful way. So instead of just passively consuming information, take the time to think about it, process it, and form your own opinion.
Critically analyzing what you're taking in.
Exactly. And it's okay if your opinion isn't the popular one or if it goes against the grain.
Right.
It's about having a reasoned perspective that you can articulate and defend.
So it's not just about having an opinion, but about being able to back it up.
Exactly. And what's really cool is that even if people disagree with you, having a strong point of view can lead to really interesting and stimulating conversations.
It's like a catalyst for deeper discussion.
Exactly. So think about a topic that you've maybe been passively following.
Okay.
And try to actively form an opinion on it this week.
Okay, so I've been reading a lot about the future of artificial intelligence.
Okay.
But I haven't really thought about what I actually think about it.
Yeah.
So maybe I could spend some time this week researching different perspectives and then try to articulate my own stance.
Perfect. That's exactly it.
Cool.
All right, step 6 is a really important one that ties in nicely with the last one.
Okay.
It's be willing to be wrong.
Be willing to be wrong.
Now, this is something that a lot of people struggle with.
For sure.
But Hagy points out that being open to changing your mind when presented with new information is actually a sign of strength.
It's like intellectual humility.
Exactly. And it shows that you're committed to learning and growing, which is way more attractive than being stubborn and clinging to your beliefs no matter what.
Right. Being open to new possibilities, new ways of seeing things.
And it makes you way more approachable too. You know?
Yeah.
Because if you're always right, then it's like, what's the point of even having a conversation?
It shuts down dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how can you practice being willing to be wrong in a safe, low stakes kind of way?
Well, maybe in a casual conversation with friends. If someone presents a different viewpoint, I could try to really listen and consider it instead of immediately jumping in to defend my own position.
And you could even say something like, that's a really interesting point. I hadn't thought about it that way before.
Right, like acknowledging that you don't have all the answers.
Exactly. All right, step 7, ask better questions.
Ask better questions. Okay.
So Hagy points out that the quality of the questions you ask really shapes the quality of your interactions and what you learn from other people.
That's true.
Think about it.
Yeah.
If you're just asking surface level questions, you're going to get surface level answers.
Right. You're only scratching the surface.
Exactly. But if you ask deeper, more thoughtful questions, you're going to get more interesting and insightful responses.
And you're going to learn a lot more.
Exactly. And the key here is to be genuinely curious about the other person and what they have to say.
So it's like coming from a place of genuine interest.
And instead of asking yes or no questions, try to ask open-ended questions that encourage them to elaborate and tell their story.
Instead of asking, did you have a good day? You could ask, what was the highlight of your day?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's one better question that you could try asking in your next conversation?
Instead of asking, how are you? Which can feel kind of rote.
Yeah.
I could ask, what's something you're looking forward to this week?
I love it.
It's a little more specific and invites a more thoughtful response.
Exactly. All right. Step 8 takes that idea of openness even further. And it's
The open mind.
now Hagy isn't just talking about like tolerating different viewpoints. She's actually advocating for actively seeking out perspectives that are different from your own. And even engaging with ideas that might challenge your beliefs.
That can be tough sometimes.
Oh, for sure. But she argues that it's essential for growth.
Right, because it forces you to examine your own assumptions.
Exactly. And it's like that feeling of discomfort when you encounter a different viewpoint. That can actually be a sign that you're expanding your understanding.
So it's like leaning into that discomfort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how can you intentionally expose yourself to a different perspective this week?
Well, maybe I could try reading an article from a news source that I normally disagree with.
Okay.
Just to see how they're framing the issue.
Or maybe you could join a discussion group online with people who have different political views.
Right, just to get a sense of where they're coming from.
Exactly. All right, we're almost at there. Step 9 is risk rejection.
Risk reject. Oh, that's a scary one.
Yeah, but Hagy acknowledges that like if you want to live a really interesting life, you're going to have to put yourself out there and try things that might not work out.
Right, you got to be willing to fail.
And she argues that like rejection is actually not the end of the world.
Okay.
It's just,
Information, okay.
yeah, it tells you something about that specific situation or that specific person,
Right.
but it doesn't define you as a person.
So it's not personal.
Exactly. And the more you risk rejection and learn from those experiences, the more resilient you become.
Building up your emotional immune system.
Exactly. So what's one small risk you could take this week that's related to your interests or goals?
Well, I've always wanted to submit a short story to a literary magazine,
Awesome.
but I've been too scared of getting rejected.
I get it.
Maybe this week I could just take the plunge and submit it.
Yes.
So do it.
What's the worst that could happen?
They say no.
Exactly. And even then, you've gained experience and you've put yourself out there.
That's true.
All right. And finally, the 10th and final step is play the long game.
Play the long game. Okay.
So Hagy emphasizes that like becoming a truly interesting person, it's not a quick fix.
Right.
It's a lifelong journey of consistently investing in yourself.
Like it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And it's about making choices today that will benefit your future self.
I like that.
It's like that whole concept of compound interest.
Okay.
You know, like small, consistent investments over time can lead to huge gains in the long run.
So it's like every little thing you do adds up.
Exactly. So what's one small thing you can commit to doing regularly that will contribute to your personal growth journey?
Well, I've been meaning to start meditating, but I haven't been able to make it a habit.
Yeah.
Maybe I could commit to just 5 minutes of meditation every morning.
Perfect. That's a great example.
Even if some days it's messy or I don't feel like it.
But the consistency is what matters.
Right. It's
Yeah.
about showing up even when you don't feel like it.
Exactly. So to wrap it all up, becoming more interesting, as Hagy lays it out, is not about trying to impress people or be someone you're not.
Right.
It's about living a more engaged, curious, and authentic life.
And when you do that, the connections with others will naturally follow.
Exactly. And it's all about those consistent, conscious choices you make along the way.
It's like a journey of self-discovery.
So for everyone listening, which of these 10 principles speaks to you the most right now?
Yeah.
And what's one small action you can take today, even right after you finish listening, to start putting it into practice?
That's the key, taking action.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Jessica Hagy's How to Be Interesting.
It's been a great conversation.
Thank you for tuning into the deep dive, and stay tuned for the next one. You can subscribe if this helped you. It really helps the channel.